What's up, guys? Welcome back to Fit Body Secrets, where my mission is to bring you guys inspiration, motivation, and a ton of tips to help you guys on your fitness journey. And if you are watching live on YouTube or you are watching live on Instagram, you will notice I'm not in my kitchen. I actually am working on creating my very own little podcast studio in my house. And I decided, you know what, just take action right now. And I'm like, I went in the room that it's going to be, and I now have a whiteboard behind me, which is going to end up becoming a place for me to also create some educational videos for everybody. But it's a pretty empty, well, y'all don't see the other side of the room, which I'll be honest is a complete shit show because I pretty much just took everything that was in this room and just threw it to one side because I'm like, ain't nobody going to see that. But my plan is this weekend to actually go through all of it and probably get rid of a lot of it because this room has just become like basically a storage room. So I want to create a little podcast studio. And Happy New Year, guys. It's December 31st when you guys are listening to this. If you're watching live, I hope you all are having an amazing holiday season. If you are still celebrating Hanukkah, no, actually, yeah, till the second. Till the second is Hanukkah. So hope you guys are enjoying your Hanukkah. And it was funny this morning or yesterday morning. I was thinking about this. Those of us that celebrate Christmas, like you look around and it's like everybody's just like back to their routine. And it kind of like made me feel like guilty. Like I'm like, yo, like people are still celebrating their holiday season. Like Hanukkah started after Christmas. So if you're celebrating Hanukkah, happy Hanukkah. I hope you are enjoying your time with your family. And it also made me think about how I have some clients that are like, it's just so hard. Like every night's a celebration. And it's like, wow, it is so different, because with Christmas, it's like Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, and then hopefully like we're back to normalcy. But with Hanukkah, every single night you get something to celebrate. And I remember as a kid, always wishing that like I celebrated Hanukkah because I'm like, they get gifts every single night. And I'm like, yeah, but they only get 8 gifts, right? We get as many gifts we want on Christmas Day. So, little tangent, but yeah. So if you're still celebrating your holiday season, I hope it's going well. If you're celebrating the new year today, tomorrow, I obviously hope you had an amazing 2024 and you are looking forward to an amazing 2025. And I want to start this episode a little bit about that. I was going to create an episode just talking about my own reflections from 2024 and my own goals and all that stuff for 2025. But honestly, like, I didn't really want to create a whole episode on it. This year has been so crazy for me. I mean, oh, my coffee. By the way, if you're watching me on YouTube, coffee right now is peppermint mocha flavor, and I am going to miss this after the holiday season is over. But when I reflect on my 2024, like it was just insane how many things I actually like feel like I don't even remember so much of it because when I think about my life from January 1st till December 31st is so structured and routine. And so for me, I found myself when I was reflecting on God, like my whole year was literally working and training and dealing with medical issues and trying to get my health back and my mom's health and just so many things that were like just one thing after another. And I was just like looking for that opportunity to take a break. And one of the things I really did this year that was different is I actually took pretty much the whole week of Christmas off. And I never do that. And I did still work out, but I actually took that time to just kind of be present and do some things that reconnect with myself in ways that I hadn't done in so many years. And that brought me back to like actually enjoying Christmas again, like taking time to bake Christmas cookies. And I always cook the holiday meal, but actually being present at the holiday meals and being okay with staying up a little bit later and spending time with my brother and my family. And it was just so nice. And I think it actually made me really feel like that's what I feel like I want my main goals to be for 2025 is to connect with myself on levels that aren't just so related to my productivity because I thrive on being a productive person and I thrive on all of that stuff. But when I realized that I'm going to be 40 this year, and I think about how many of my years have passed me by where they've been enjoyable, but there's just always been something missing. And I think that that's what it is. So, my own little thoughts as I go into 2025 is I do want to put more emphasis into building the part of me that I've kind of not been in touch with for so long because I've been such a goal focused individual and I'm a driven individual in everything that I do. And with that comes a lot of really exciting changes with my business and different ways that I'm going to be connecting with people. If you're watching this and you're interested in becoming part of my community, working with me one-on-one or in my group program. Like I've got some really cool things coming up that I'm excited for. I am not going to be doing a New Year's challenge, but there is going to be a challenge coming up. I'm just not going to do it right at the beginning of the year. Y'all got plenty of things you guys need to be working on right now. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So my goal is to get you guys to join in when you're kind of like out of that little like craziness of all of the, you're going to be bombarded with so many different options for challenges that I know that you're going to, obviously do what's best for you. But I am going to be doing something a little bit different towards the end of the month. And I'm excited to kind of roll that out, and a new program that I'm going to be offering, which will give you guys an opportunity to get a little bit more education on things. So today's episode we're going to get into is talking about how to reset your nutrition for fat loss after the holiday season. And I thought about this topic, and a lot of people actually think, well, we all think that we gain weight through the holiday season. And you do. Often, most people do gain anywhere from 3 to 10 pounds over the time of like Thanksgiving through Christmas. If you maintain your weight through the holiday season, like a lot of my clients did, good for you. But even my clients that gained a little bit of weight, they weren't a diet failure. I actually gave them permission to allow themselves to indulge a little bit, because weight gain is not necessarily fat gain. And in fact, taking that little bit of time to, take a little bit of a break from focusing on a fat loss goal actually allows you to really focus on that goal when you're not kind of like torn between two different goals, right? Like trying to celebrate your holiday season while you're trying to lose fat kind of sucks. If you are somebody who really does enjoy the food and the festivities and stuff like that. So I wanted them to be okay with that kind of stuff. I would much rather my clients maintain their weight, or if they gain a pound or two, it's okay, because I know they're in a good place. Because when fat gain actually happens is in January and February and March. And this is what people don't realize, you see, because in the acute phase of overeating, so like in the month of December, your body is essentially just storing extra energy, which is what calories are, as glycogen, and a little bit in your fat source as triglycerides. That's not actually creating more fat tissue. It's just kind of energy sitting there. When that energy is not used over time, that's when it becomes fat. So what you'll typically see, and why this episode is so important, is that a lot of people have that feeling after the holidays of like, my body just feels like shit. I feel like gross. Like, I don't want to look at another Christmas cookie. I just want vegetables. Like, you have that feeling of like, I cannot wait to get back to my clean eating and my routine. And they go really, really hard for like 2 or 3 weeks in January. They're like, all right, I'm going to like freaking cut everything out. I'm going on this challenge, clean eating, no sugar, no drinking, all of this stuff, right? And what that essentially does is the weight you gain over the holiday season, which isn't all fat, it's a lot of water, a lot of food, and stored energy, right? You typically are going to do that extreme change, which is going to remove all of that stuff. But it doesn't ever really touch on the fat part of it, which that takes a little bit longer. So about 3 to 4 weeks into January of you doing this is when you're going to start to tap into that stored body fat. And this is why people go wrong by really trying to reset with like a hard challenge or an extreme change, because you burn out at that point. You're like, I'm literally at that point, you forgot how shitty you felt. And you're like, okay, the Oreos look good again. Like, that's really what happens, So I want to show you guys a better method today. Now, first and foremost, if you're looking to reset in the new year, all right, I want you to first start by reflecting on your holiday season, because it comes every single year. And this is something that I talked about on my group call this past Sunday, because next year, I don't want my clients to have me. I want them to be free of working with me, but I want them to have independence and also have my thoughts in their brain. Like, what are they thinking in the moment? It wasn't, oh my gosh, I need to have all of this food right now because I'm never going to have it again. It's permission to have what you want. It's permission to leave what you don't. It's having, enough self-worth to care about your body enough to like practice moderation and know that you can't just like throw everything out the window if you actually really care about your body, right? So I want them to actually reflect on what went well, how they felt, even if they felt like they were being restrictive. Like, I want them to think about that next year, because they're not going to have me. They're not going to be in a fat loss phase. I want them to be comfortable. I had clients that didn't track for the whole week of Christmas. I'm like, good, because guess what? Next year without me, you probably would not be tracking your food the whole week of Christmas. That's okay. So I'm here to remind you of why that matters. So that's really the first thing, is reflecting on your holiday season, what you feel like went well, what you feel like went wrong. And if you felt like you were that person that was like, all right, I'm just going to like reset when all of this is over, like just making sure that in the moment your focus wasn't like feeling guilty about what you were doing. You were like, I just really want to enjoy the food and not really give a shit about it. Like, that's okay. Like I'm totally okay with that. I'm also okay with you saying, nope, I actually really do care about my body. I want to be able to do both. And that's honestly what I think is the best, is like having some flexibility where you can incorporate some more of the things that you want, but also practicing some mindset shifts and allowing yourself to moderate that. The more you give yourself permission, honestly, the less overwhelmed you feel in those moments. So now, after you've reflected, all right, you kind of know what your holiday season was. You got to also reflect on your normal routine. And as you're looking to reset after the holiday season, what was or wasn't working for you before the holiday season, right? Like, where did you need to lean in more? Was your system actually working, or was it this thing that like you were just doing and like checking the boxes on? So like if you've been quote unquote loosely tracking your macros for the past like 2 or 3 years, and your body's not changing and you're doing the same cycle every single year, and like you feel like you don't know where you're going, like maybe it's time for a change up. Like maybe you need to take a look at what you're doing on a regular basis. um, what's causing you to only loosely track. I made a post today in my Facebook group, like, you don't be on the forever fat loss plan. If that's you, you've literally been tracking your macros and like hoping that 1 month something's going to change. Like maybe it's time to change something up. There might be something that you're missing in your nutrition. So actually reflecting on what needs to change after the holiday season. Like you're going back to work, you're going back to routine, and allowing yourself to look at not just the food changes, but the changes that affect the food. That has to be the most important focus of your New Year's like nutrition reset, is what do I have to do to make the nutrition part easier? Like that's really the biggest thing that you could take away from today. If you could take away one thing, I don't care what diet, what program, whatever you plan on following in the new year, figure out what you have to change in your lifestyle in order to make that happen. And the second part of that is making sure that whatever changes you're making are ones that you can actually stick to for life. And that's where I do and tell my clients, like, the holiday season is part of your fat loss plan. It's the part of it where like you're not focusing on the fat loss, you're focusing on learning how to live your best life and maintain. Because at the end of it all, fat loss is not the goal. Like if you're living your life to solely chase fat loss, like think about how empty you would be. The goal is like you're tired of feeling the way that you're feeling. You want to get to a place where you feel good about your body, you're showing up in your life the way you want to, and you know that right now you're carrying extra weight. And if you get rid of that extra weight, you'll put on clothes in the morning and be like, damn, I look good. Go into the gym and you see a picture of yourself and you're like, oh my God, that's me. Can't believe how much I changed, right? Like that's what you want. Fat loss is just the avenue to that. And that's why whatever changes you're making right now need to be looked at as sustainable changes. Okay. So here are some things that you guys should be doing if you're looking to streamline your nutrition for fat loss and reset in the new year. First things first, all right? Do not drastically change your food intake, all right? I also, excuse me, did not make notes on this. This is all coming off of my head because I know this is the same shit that people do. So if you are coming off the holiday season where you were likely consuming 3,000 calories a day, and maybe you have no idea of that, but I know because I know what kind of foods people consume over the holiday season. If that's you, don't say, all right, I'm going to commit to tracking my calories and macros, and I'm going to be at 125 grams of carbs a day. Like, think about the extreme change there. You're going to feel really shitty the majority of the time. Also, people that do like the whole keto or the low carb or the carnivore, if your diet is going to make you feel like shit in the beginning, don't follow it. Like literally, people, I remember people like, oh, I'm going through the keto flu. Like, what is that? Your nutrition should be making you feel better, not worse. So do not go to extremes right now because it's not going to reset you. It's actually going to sabotage you. Because like I mentioned earlier, it's literally going to be sustainable for 2 to 3 weeks, maybe a month if you're lucky. Okay. If you have accountability, maybe a little bit longer. But for the most part, excuse me, I'm getting like really like riled up, can you tell? It's not gonna last. So don't drastically change your calories. Don't drastically change your nutrition. All right. Go back to basics. If you don't know what basics are, let me recap it for you really quick. All right. You got protein, carbs, and fats, and you got micronutrients that you get from your fruits and vegetables, your antioxidants, right? Your meals should incorporate a balance of those three things and some fruits and vegetables. Like that's the basics. All right. So, whatever you're doing, let's start there. Let's honor your hunger a little bit and say, all right, I'm still a little bit hungry. I'm going to have more of these good quality foods. I'm getting a craving. I'm going to incorporate making sure that every day I have a little bit of chocolate or a little bit of this because that's sustainable. All right. If you want to have a cookie a day for the rest of your life, have a freaking cookie a day while you're trying to lose weight. That's it. All right. Don't make it a crumble cookie because that's going to get really expensive. Not just on your body, but also in the bills. Because man, if you've ever looked at how expensive a crumble cookie is, that's why I bought a six pack because I'm like, I'm gonna buy a six pack and freeze them because it's just not worth it. By the way, I think I'm kind of realizing crumble cookie is kind of disappointing. I was looking forward to it more. But anyways, so we don't want to go to drastic changes. You want to go back to basics. All right. The second thing is, as you're going back to basics, you're building your high quality meals and you're doing that in a way that feels good to you. You're listening to your hunger a little bit. You're feeling energized. All right. You want to have a way of tracking things and you want to be tracking your weight because you're looking to lose weight. So you got to stop being afraid of the scale. If you're afraid of the scale, that's another thing you're going to have to overcome right now because you have fat loss goals. You got to stop feeling a certain way about the scale every single day. All right. So you're tracking your weight and you're tracking your food. I did not say start obsessing over calories and macros. I said you're tracking your food. You're taking a look at your nutrients over the course of the day, how you're splitting up your calories over the day, where you tend to find yourself more hungry, where you're eating less. You're literally just learning what your body naturally does. Like that's the first thing you can do right now that is going to feel easy, but is probably the most impactful thing you could ever do. People talk about wanting to get into intuitive eating. It is right there. All right. It is the beginning of your fat loss phase. What do you naturally crave? All right. Second or third piece of this now, because we went back to basics. Now we've got a system for tracking things. All right. So you're keeping a food diary, you're tracking your weight, you're also paying attention to your feedback. I'm going to be honest, I don't really track that stuff, but I just pay attention. Like, am I feeling hungry all the time? Am I pooping all the time? Like, what am I doing differently? Like, let's talk about poop, right? Like, we'll just tangent for that. We'll save that for another episode. Number 3 is when it comes to fat loss, all right, if you've got the basics covered on good quality food, you've got some flexibility, you're still allowing yourself to have some of the things you want to have that maybe aren't so high quality. And then third, I have a message up here and I need to check it. I have a whole bunch of messages up there. Guys, if you're sending me messages, I am going to come back and take a look at all of those. I just realized I've been getting a lot of messages on here. Good morning, Jody. Oh my gosh, this is so awesome. All my normal people are on. This is so great. Craig, Kenneth, Jake, love seeing y'all. Beck, I don't know you. I just had to stop for a second. Oh, I'm so excited you guys are here. All right, so I'm going to answer any questions you guys have. So pop them over in the chat. But let me get back to number 3 because this is the most important one. All right, so you're back to basics. All right, you're not removing any food groups, right? We're just kind of taking it back to basics, building some balanced meals. Number 2 is you're tracking your data, you're tracking your weight, you're tracking your food so you have an idea of what's going in. Also, you are working out regularly. So you're back in the gym if you've taken the month of December and you were like maybe a little bit more lax. You're getting back to your normal gym routine. So you have an idea. All right, I'm working out 4 times a week. So I know about how much energy my body needs on these days. You're taking a look at your daily weights, you're taking a look at your food. And another bonus would be tracking your steps because that's going to allow you to see how your activity is throughout the day. These are all metrics that you're going to use for your fat loss plan. You got to have the metrics first. All right. So all of that stuff. And then you got to know your caloric needs and your macronutrient needs. Simple as that. All right. So no special diet, no nothing. Like that's it. You got to know that. You've got the foundation of good solid nutrition. You've got the data tracking. You've got the weight tracking. You've got the workouts. You've got the movement. You just need to know your calorie needs and your macronutrient breakdown. Okay. And I'm going to record a second episode on this specific topic on how to do that. And I also have a new calculator that I have created. And let me tell you guys, I am not tech savvy at all. So when I tell you, I hope people get value out of this because it literally took me, I don't know how many days of headache work that probably would have taken like a coder or someone that does this for a profession, like maybe 20 minutes. Because I literally was having to Google every step because I kept making fuck ups. But I now have a calculator that I've created, and it's specifically for my community of people who are a little bit higher activity. You guys have maybe CrossFit on your mind, that kinds of stuff. And it is helping you guys actually figure out how many calories you need for your specific goals. It does also tell you your estimation of your energy needs. And I'm going to go over all of that stuff in my next podcast episode. I'm going to be talking about calories, macros, and all that kind of stuff. But that is what you need to be focusing on. And when I talk about calories and macros, this is not something that needs to be like a scientific experiment every single day, right? We're not like literally in our food, like number Tetris and like having an extra ounce of this and taking away an ounce of that and all this kinds of stuff. Okay. It should not be this meticulous thing. It should be simple and consistent, right? So that means that like you're weighing your food so that you know that exactly how much food that you're putting on there is going in. Every once in a while, maybe you have to eyeball it. Maybe you're off a little bit. It ain't going to make that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things. You just have to be consistent. Okay. This coffee is so freaking good. I'm going to miss this flavor. I feel like I should go like stock up on like 5 bottles of it, but I'll probably get sick of it by then. But yeah, that's the first thing you need, the last thing you need. When it comes to your macros, and I'm going to go into this in my next video, I want you guys to focus on balance there, not being like super hyper focused on like hitting those numbers spot on, but just finding balance in your meals. Like I said, back to basics, but making sure that you're getting in enough protein. And the other number that I always look at that a lot of coaches and people don't pay attention to is your fiber intake. Fiber intake is very important for fat loss, for digestive health, for ensuring that you are absorbing the nutrients the right way. So you could be eating nutrients and not actually absorbing them. So if you want the best strategy right now for resetting yourself after the holiday season, that's it. The last thing that I'm going to tell you about this is you might feel that the weight doesn't drop off as fast as it has in the past. Okay. But I want you to reframe this thought process because you're used to seeing a 5 to 7 pound drop off fast when you just restrict yourself, right? But it typically only lasts for 2 to 3 weeks. And then what happens? It plateaus. And you blame yourself because you're like, oh, it must be me. My body's stuck. Well, and then you just go off the plan, right? That's, again, not the issue. The issue is what you've lost, as I mentioned earlier, in those first couple of weeks is you've lost water, you're eating a little bit healthier, you have less bloat, all of that stuff is gone. It's not fat. So you got to get past the honeymoon phase in order to lose fat. So if you don't see yourself just dropping weight quickly in the new year, okay, that's okay. If you are following these principles, you are going to be successful. If you continue to follow these principles because they're very simple to apply and very effective and very adjustable, you will be successful not just for the month of January, but all the way through the month of December. And I promise you that by December, you will be in a completely different place to where the holiday season doesn't have the impact that it has on you both physically and mentally in the past. Okay. So that's my tip for you guys that are looking to reset your nutrition in the new year. All right. So you have to, first and foremost, the pre-phase is like get unconditioned to think you have to make fast progress. Take it back to basics, balanced meals, no food quality, track data. Okay. How many steps are you getting? How many workouts are you going to commit to a week? What is your daily weight saying? What kind of food, how many calories are you taking in? Are you tracking your food? Then adjust your calories, build your macro plan, and get after it. It's that fucking simple. That's simple. All right. Removes everything. Now, simple isn't always easy. And as I mentioned earlier, I keep saying, as I mentioned earlier, because I'm going to keep rephrasing this stuff for those of you guys who are jumping on late. None of this stuff is going to be easy in the beginning. It might feel easy for like a day or two, but when problems come into play from your life, how are you going to stay consistent with these things? You get stuck late at work. What are you going to do? Okay. You get a craving. What are you going to do? Kids need XYZ. You're making family meals. How are you going to navigate? Those are all the things you need solutions to. And those are all the things that we talk about in my group calls and my essentials program. I talk about this with my one-on-one clients, teaching you to become a problem solver, because your fat loss goals, as I already mentioned, are not your goal. Like, your goal is not to live your life in a fat loss bubble. Okay. Maybe if you are an athlete, you are in an athlete bubble, but that's your profession and that's your choice. But you are not living for fat loss. You are living your life and you want to lose fat. Like, there's a big difference. Okay. So you've got to be able to do all of these things while still handling work stress, life stress, all of those different things. So if that is something that you are interested in, I'm excited for what's coming in the new year. So, but it's not coming till later. Got anticipation. But no, I do have my new program. Actually, I have created another thing that I worked on is, if you go to the show notes, you will see that there is a link to my have a little bit of a website that I started, which has the 2 different program offers that I have. And if you are looking for some advice, I am always open ears, guys. I don't charge you guys for simple advice. I want to empower you guys to do the right thing for yourself. So let's go ahead and take a look at what some of these comments say over here. Good morning, Miss Heidi. I'm going to rewind a little bit just to kind of see. I see a lot of hellos. Are you in a padded cell? So Jake, oh my God. Yes, it does look like I am in like a freaking, like a, it's so funny. I do look like I'm in like a little bit of a padded room. This room is going to change. You guys help me decide on what color I should paint the wall. The wall will be a different color. And that whiteboard is actually, I'm hoping it doesn't fall down because it's not tacked up by anything. I tried to tack it up, but there's a problem because the outlet underneath, and I have to do a little bit of cutting on that board to make it fit. So I do look like I'm in a padded cell. It's just funny. Jake, you said you have a nutrition question, but what is your question? Does the 5-second rule apply to all foods or just solid ones? Ooh, does the 5-second rule apply to all foods or just solid ones? This is a great question. Well, I would say that liquid foods have a 3-second rule. So you better get on that floor and get your tongue out quick, because I think 3 seconds. That just sounded really dirty, but but yeah, I don't know. I'll be honest. I eat food off the floor all the time. If I drop it and I already calculated it, you better believe I'm going to eat it. In fact, I'll be honest. If y'all have never blown up your oatmeal in your microwave, you should just live my life, because I do it all the time. And when it happens, I can't tell you how many times I have freaking put that stuff right back in the bowl. I'm like, ain't going to waste it. And I'm not going to miss those macros. You just ate half a jar of peanut butter off the floor. It's okay though. So oh my God, that is hilarious. Oh, the label off the bottom. Oh my God. He asked me to remove the label off the bottom of my drink. Can you believe that it's still on there? That's crazy. How many times I've used this mug? I don't even know. I'm just kind of like a lot of coffee. Here just in time for crumble cookies are okay. Oh yeah, crumble cookies, Jody. Let me tell you, they are totally okay. In fact, I made an Instagram reel on this. A little fact about crumble cookies. Did you know that I know that nobody eats a quarter of a cookie, but the serving size by weight, if you were to weigh a crumble cookie to any other standard cookie, is about the same. It's literally, they put 4 cookies together in 1 cookie. So just so you know, they're not as calorie dense as people realize. They just give you a much larger portion. So I compared the nutrition facts of a Lenny and Larry's cookie to a crumble cookie, and calorically, they were almost exactly the same, even though macronutrient wise, they were different. Beth, not gonna lie, it's after midnight and my friends just left a mini New Year's party I had, and I'm avoiding lying down, and I'm sitting in bed because the alcohol is messing my head. Oh my gosh. Happy New Year to you. I do not drink, and I do not miss it. I drank myself tired of drinking before I was allowed to drink. What's a crumble cookie? All right, Beth, let me just tell you what a crumble cookie is. There is a chain of cookie places in the United States. I'm not sure where you live. Obviously, somewhere else if it's already New Year's there. You're in the future. Um, and they sell super like large cookies, and they make a different lineup every single week. Um, and they're kind of a big thing. A lot of people talk about them, and they're okay. I just feel like I was underwhelmed, so I'm kind of over it at this point. But all right, guys, I am so happy to have so many of you guys on here. If you guys have any other questions, please shoot them over my way. Next episode, I'm going to be talking about calories and macros, how to set them up for yourself, how to adjust them. And I'm looking forward to that episode because it is a big part of my program. Even though it's not the whole thing I teach, it is a big piece of it. And understand the different needs that you guys have as CrossFitters, if you're a CrossFitter, or if you're not a CrossFitter, how to adjust for your specific training modalities. But I hope you guys all have an amazing new year. Beck, since you're in the future, happy new year. I hope that yours is going well, if you remember any of it. Other than that, I hope to see you guys all on the next episode in the new year.